matrix of solutions that need to be implemented. My family, we are in quite a situation. We are in quite a situation. The context of the world, where there are many amazing things and progress being made, there are some really big challenges coming down the pike. And I don't know what to, I don't know, is that the way I want to start it? I so want to motivate myself and others to go through the discovery process on multiple scales of solutions. There are solutions. And we are not going to save it all, quote unquote. Much has already been lost. And as time goes on, folks are going to get pretty motivated pretty quick. Sure is how it seems. There's kind of two ways it will play out as things go. There are abrupt changes and slow changes. Composting the old ways and moving forward, banding together. Yes, operating on a national scale, and I'm not holding my breath. I'm not waiting for the government to fix any of this. That just seems foolish. I don't see it happening. I see some cool stuff. It's not like it's all bad. I think there are some great emissions standards and environmental reform. There are real things happening in the realm of governmental influence, and by definition of the largeness of the scope of government, can it even address the almost totality of the shift that is required here? On so many scales, we need changes of personal habits on mass scales. I don't expect or want the government to enforce that. I want us to choose that because it's the right thing to do. Example, cutting it out with the eating of the meat thing. The environmental, immoral, and human health repercussions of that. It's let's just let it go. I use that as an example because it's so easy. It is so easy. And I use it as an example because I don't expect I don't want the government to tell us we can't eat meat. I mean, in a way, yeah, that would be great. Outlaw it because it's because it's a horrible thing to do. And we don't have to wait for that. That may never come. Just we need to really look at it, and when I say it, now I'm speaking about this larger, like, conversations need to be had about our habits, about our responsibility, our effects, personal, family level, communal, national, our effects on this organism, which is the total planet. We must learn to reintegrate as parts of a larger whole. It is so foolish. It is so ignorant. And I'm at least not intending to cast judgment on anyone or any group, or it's just to not realize that is obviously very dangerous, and it's just not based in reality. Everything we do has an effect. We have such agency. How do we choose to use this? And what are our actions based on? What are our principles? You know, what can't, we gotta figure out what are the sacred things. And if that word is too fluffy for you, then what do you care about? And if that isn't even it, then what are your needs? Right? There are basic bodily needs. There are emotional needs. You know? There's all kinds of needs. Money could be a need, water, connection to other folks, you know, feeling a sense of usefulness. Okay, so once we see our needs, are they being met? Okay. Given the context of the world, do we see that are there threats to them being met in carrying on? Is one question. And for the ones that aren't being met, what is standing in our way? So what are the obstacles, either now or coming? Like, I have a need for transportation that's a very basic, real need. And in this setup, in this situation, I am therefore dependent on fossil fuels from default. I'm born into that system where that is the default. Well, fossil fuels are a finite resource. I guess this is a point of contention. Moving on. Once we have realized what are the obstacles, we can start to, that's one of our first steps. We can start to problem solve, to eliminate those, to overcome them. Some of them are personal within us. Like, I don't know how to run a car off of a different fuel, or or some of them are, I don't feel ready, or I don't feel even like things like good enough to have connection with another person. There's so much loneliness around, is there not? away from things and towards things. We start to discover what is it that we care about, and then from there, when we identify things that we do not wish to participate in because they are not aligned with our values and our needs. At this point, I suggest a boycott list. For me, like, fossil fuels is on the boycott list. And just because something is on the boycott list does not mean that that day we stop doing it, because that becomes an obstruction to adding things to that list. And adding things to that list is one of the most important things us in the super consumptive Western world, or just in general, adding things to that list and therefore subtracting things that we do is one of the most important things we can do if we care. This is the time where we begin to hone our actions towards life, towards fulfilling our own needs and the needs of others. Oh, it's beautiful. Letting go of these. Let's see, what the hell times? So, around that thought, we don't need to be perfect in it. It's a striving. It's like, I hear from people, oh, I could never stop eating this or that. Well, for one, watch your language. Never is a big one. And just by putting it on this list, mental or physical, however this, just by knowing, yeah, that really isn't in line with co-creating a world that I wish to live in and that I would be proud to pass on to my descendants. By eliminating things from our lives, we start really moving towards something. There are many more things worth not doing than there are worth doing. There's a lot of fuzz. There's a lot of gray areas. There's just a lot of unnecessary. And I will say in this, I am totally not innocent of participating in unnecessary frivolities, however that word would go. And there are some things that come easier to some of us than others. Start with those. Start with those. If you're on the edge, you don't really care that much about meat, you're not addicted to it, you're like, I just kind of eat it, it's convenient, then let that one go. If you already, you kind of, if an electric car is within your means, some used electric car, cool, go with it. If it's the straws thing, just not freaking, just, when they ask you if you want a straw at the restaurant, just don't. I mean, it's at every level. That's the beautiful thing about it. We need to change a lot. And there are so many ways to be moving towards a better world. And what is the worst case scenario in living this way? It's running in the background. It doesn't have to be the only thing we think about. But it's there. We're making choices every day. And it feels good. It feels good to do something because it's a better way of doing something. Does it not? know I'm not alone in that. So once we have the boycott list going, and this isn't all in any particular order, you can start at any one of them, but then we start looking at strategies, and it gets pretty juicy. It kind of gets into it really emerges into the real world, into physicality at that point. Permaculture is like right there in the sunshine of strategies for exiting the broken and emerging into a future where we can live in an integrated way with our surroundings, where we can be a positive influence on the world in so many ways. So you look at the needs, and there are multiple strategies, are there not, to fulfill each need, like housing, or transportation, or eating food. We start looking, what impact does that transportation have, and is there another way? The food I eat, is it being sprayed with chemicals, grown far away? Much energy is being wasted to change hands and move all around. So if I made an incremental shift, it doesn't mean I have to grow all my own food the next year, but there are and where does my electricity come from? This is what I really want to talk about. What are the strategies? Because there are solutions. We look at any of the problems the world is facing today, we could be doing better to alleviate. And then once we have alleviated a certain thing, once we have set up, for instance, a rainwater to shower process to gray water system, and we're no longer pulling precious water out of some aquifer somewhere. Once we have gone through the process, implemented the strategies, we can put that one to rest to a degree. Then it's just maintenance. It's very easy. And then we move on. We move on, and by then we have a whole new set of sacred things and a whole new set of needs. And do they not build upon each other? We may save money by they won't all save money, but say we save some money by growing some of our own food, not to mention the satisfaction, the health benefits, the positive environmental aspects, the both large and right there in our own backyard or wherever it is. Once we've gotten there, we might think, okay, well that need is being met pretty well. What are some of my other needs? Like, what what are we really here to do? And to be. And I'm excited to continue the conversation of doing better with as a whole and as individuals. Happy Sunday.